Previously on Talking. In Season 4, Episode 5. What a long, strange trip it's been. Boyd and Jade pushed deeper into a desperate and mind-bending search for answers, trying to make sense of the growing mystery around them. At the same time, a food run to the settlement took a chilling turn, reminding everyone that even the simplest task can become dangerous in this town. With tensions rising and the stakes getting higher, we now head into Episode 6. The heart is a lonely hunter. Welcome to Talking, from the live podcast produced by Indie Radio, where we break down the mystery, the terror, and the twists of the hit TV series. Hosted by Jen and Kinte. This is the show where we review every shocking moment, every haunting question, and every chilling clue. And from strangers find themselves trapped in a mysterious town they cannot leave, forced to survive against deadly creatures that come out at night, while uncovering the dark secrets hidden all around them. You can watch from on MGM Plus. Get ready for live reactions, deep discussion, bold theories, and real talk about one of television's most unsettling shows. And now, here are your hosts, Jen and Kinte.
All right, welcome everyone and the extended fromily to Talking From. I am one of your hosts, Jen. I am joined today by my true believer, Kinte. Kinte, how are you? Are you surviving? Is everything good?
I am surviving, and I am so happy to be here and talk about this episode tonight.
So, just to jump right in, I'm going to say that I thought this was going to be a little bit of a filler episode, and boy, was I ever wrong. Holy cow. I think I had like 5 epiphanies in this episode, like real sort of, whoa, mind-blowing things. And I want to get into all of them, but I want to ask first, Kinte, what did you think of the setup into this episode with Boyd really not believing Jade, despite the fact, and you know what, at first I was like, Boyd, you are being so obtuse, and then I started listening to what Boyd said, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, maybe he's got a point. So let's start off there. What did you think about that interaction? We know that Jade went on this crazy trip. He had all this mushroom experience in his head, saw the hidden doorway, thought about the underground, and then he came up with this idea that if they get the bones of the kids, that's going to somehow get them out of there. So what did you think of that setup?
I really enjoyed the setup. I thought last week's episode was pretty good. And this episode I thought was even better. I really enjoyed the whole episode point by point. It is kind of funny that they put Jade on the mission to get this information. And then when he gets it, then it's like, I don't believe it. You know, so it's like, why did you send him there if you, and I think Jade said something to that effect, right? He's like, why did you send me there? Or why did we do this if you're just not going to believe what I come up with?
Well, I do sort of have a little bit of a explanation perhaps for that. And that is, this is all Jade led. And Boyd is very much the doubting Thomas in just about everything. I mean, he just is sort of the person who tries to bring everybody back down to reality in a way that obviously just doesn't work. But, you know, he's still trying to make sense of the world in light of the nonsensical. And Jade is sort of like in there for better or worse and going, no. These mushrooms are going to tell me something. Obviously, I need to go on an acid trip because that's how Miranda saw the town. So I get it. I get why Boyd is a skeptic, but I also sort of am in your camp too. Like, well, why admit that this could be anything if it's actually nothing? That's true. I definitely believe that that's true. Um, tell me what you walked away from, or walked away with when Boyd and Jade went to Colony House and looked in the cellar. Were you expecting a door?
No,
No.
I wasn't expecting one. I expected kind of what happened was because it was so early in the episode. So I expected that there was going to be, um, you know, something that make you feel like it was wrong or whatever. And
Mhm.
that later in the episode, it actually went down just the way I thought it would.
Okay. Well, uh, I had mixed feelings about it. Okay, but that at this point is yeah, you got a good point. It's obvious there wasn't going to be a door. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the meat of this episode, sort of before we even get a chance to rehash it. What's happening here, which is where I sort of had some epiphanies about what we've seen before, and maybe I'm just slow. I don't know, but there's a moment when they didn't find the door that I realized that that's Boyd's skepticism. Boyd's skepticism stopped them from seeing the door. And I absolutely believe, see, that's a good point that our viewer brings up, that they showed Boyd crashing the wall. And I actually didn't see that, which I guess probably would have given me better perspective. But I try really hard to stay away
Yeah,
from.
I'm glad that I didn't see that.
I say very far away from even the trailers because I don't want to know. I mean, I know maybe that's crazy, but I don't. I just want to see it and experience it in real time. So, but I had this moment when Boyd, when they go down there and the door isn't there, and the look on Jade's face is sort of crazy, but there's this affirmation on Boyd's face that made me realize, oh, you know what? It's Boyd. Boyd is manifesting this. And then, sure enough, halfway into the episode, Donna has a heart attack. And Boyd says, you don't get to die until I tell you that you can die. You open your eyes right now. And of course, that is what happened. And I, all of a sudden, I think, started to understand more of what it was that drove Abby to, and I've mentioned this before, to start killing everybody in From. She was on the right path, but she was using the wrong methodology. Because, of course, if there's nobody left, there's no believers. Nobody's there. But it is exactly the believers that I think are powering everything that's happening. And we get further confirmation of that in this episode with the nightmares are real. Your nightmares when you die, or your nightmares maybe in general, are what fuel the forest. It's what caused the cicadas. It's what creates a lot of these manifestations to happen. And look, I don't know what Jim's worst nightmare was, so maybe that's still to come, but it does seem like what we're being led down in this path is when you believe something strongly enough, like the radio tower, like the maybe even the faraway trees, I don't know. Um a lot of things, but especially we saw sort of concrete evidence with it with Boyd and Donna. When you believe, oh, I know, the other one I was thinking was Tabitha and stabbing the dolls. When you believe something wholeheartedly, and this is going to dovetail into Fatima in a second. When you believe stuff like this, it actually manifests in the town just the same way that the nightmares do. So I know that's a lot. Let's sort of take that in and tell me what you think about that first, and then let's move on.
Real quick, in our chat, it says that Ethan said something probably happened to Donna because of what happened at the cabins. and we know when Ethan talks, you listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really good. Now I'm sorry. Now ask your question one more time. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, so I set sort of the what I think is the premise of the show, where it's trying to lead us. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that like this show is sort of like, okay, this episode is going to reveal all the secrets and now we're going to know exactly what's happening, because we don't. But I think that this episode pulled back a layer of veneer that we can now see fairly crystal clear, that it is belief that is powering this town. The belief in things are actually rewriting or writing as we go the quote unquote story, just as much as the nightmares are fueling the forest and the creatures. And there's further evidence of this further into the show, but I just wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I've always kind of felt like was happening on the show, and it's good to kind of get confirmation. I would say it's confirmation when you
I
say
would.
it. I felt like this episode gave us some confirmations that I think the show definitely needed, um, and I feel like, you know, if you think about the creatures outside, they're the stuff of nightmares, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of times it'll come to you in a package in which you recognize, you may see someone, like a loved one or whatnot, right? And then you get the horrifying ness of the monsters. So I really feel like a lot of it is fear. Now, my question to you would be is, you see this, as a trope. Once you're not afraid, does that make you stronger?
See, this is why I think the man in yellow is so incredibly powerful in what he does. Because what we see Sophia trying to do is, number one, sow the seeds of discord. But two, I think that Sophia is trying to manifest into the town the very realness of the opposite side of Boyd, which is the hope, which is why the creatures keep trying to break him down, because they are trying to take away his hope. They are trying to take away his ability to see into or believe into the story as he wants to see it happen. And the more that Boyd is skeptical, the less answers they can get. And that also, again, it just seems to manifest again and again and again. But I don't think that this is limited to Boyd. I think Boyd just happens to have, for lack of a better term, like the biggest story aura. So as Boyd is sort of projecting out to the rest of the town the necessity for hope and the goodness of people and how do we keep each other safe and all of that, he is inadvertently keeping the town going on his own hope. If Boyd becomes afraid, if Boyd falls apart, then everybody else will fall apart. And that's where everything can kind of dissolve, because there's no glue holding it together. But I think I don't think it's limited to just Boyd. I think other people also have this power. Um, and maybe
Julie?
Donna is one of them. Sort of yes, but sort of no. I do think that Julie believes what she is saying about being a story walker. I think that meeting with Sarah tamped that belief down. And so perhaps she is now not only doubting herself, but doubting the ability that might entail. Like, maybe I'm not the special. Maybe instead I am, maybe something else happened and maybe I just don't know what it is. And we know that Sarah is sort of like the story foil, or one of the story foils, and she is used in a way that always brings people back to, no, you can't do it. Sarah is the perfect, in Joseph Campbell's story arc, Sarah is the perfect threshold guardian. So is Donna in some ways, but Sarah is always at the threshold telling the hero, no, you can't do it, you should turn back. And she's not doing it to be mean, and she's not doing it to be nefarious. She's doing it because she actually believes that there is more danger on the other side of doing something than there is staying in the safety of, here's our own lane, we got to stay here. Right? Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So let's sort of skip over to Donna. We'll get to Julie and Sarah in a second, but let's skip over to Donna. I feel like this was such a pivotal storyline. Not only did sort of Boyd bring her back, clearly Boyd brought her back, but Boyd also created this environment by which Donna could wake up to. And do you know what the term magical thinking is?
No.
So when you use, or when people, maybe not accuse, but when people say that you are using magical thinking, it means that you are thinking outside the bounds of reality, to something that you probably can't control, but hey, maybe if you just think hard enough about it, or manifest it in some way, that it will happen, right? And there's this fine line between what I think is magical thinking and like the power of prayer, as an example. I don't think it was an accident that Father Cautry ended up in the scene. I think that was absolutely, I mean, not only was it intentional, it was also pivotal. Basically, Boyd says, yeah, I think that Fatima's Golem's going to come to life too, for this very reason. For this very reason, what we're talking about right now. When Boyd is sitting with Donna, and he's basically saying to Father Cautry all the things that he's like, yeah, no, I need Donna. I can't basically do this without Donna. He is using magical thinking. He is manifesting this sort of reality that he needs to exist in order to go on. And I don't exactly understand what the mechanics story-wise for this are, but I can definitely say from the experiential side that he is using this really strong power of, manifesting his own reality in order to make it happen. And that seems like it's got way bigger implications than we can possibly realize. But now let's jump over to, because we'll get back to Father Cautry in a second. Now let's jump back over to Victor and Ethan. Obviously, there's the scene where Victor is standing on the top of the roof, and boy, is that ever. That was such a low point in the whole, I think, in this whole season. Mostly because, of course, he feels this crushing weight of both what he says and what he tries to prevent, and obviously can't. Like, he keeps trying to sort of tell people, hey, here's what I saw. I'm the record keeper of this town. And this is what I saw. This is what you should stay away from. This is what I know to be happening. And people can't interpret that. They just don't know. Well, what did you think about that whole? I mean, first of all, I love the way that Boyd talks to him, because I feel like it is one of Boyd's sort of not few, but very like personal and intimate moments where he really recognizes somebody else's pain in a very deep way.
Well, can we give Boyd some credit, because he's 2 for 2 on the suicide hotline?
Mm.
Because what was it, last week, right?
That's right.
And then now this week. So congratulations to him. He hasn't lost anybody.
I love that she's still in the cellar sorting stuff.
Right. And she even says, what did she say? She says,
she's trying to keep me from committing suicide. I haven't cut my wrist yet.
Right. So but kudos. So I guess Boyd is the one you want to do that. But at first, I was a little annoyed with the scene. I'm gonna just be honest because
Why?
I didn't think he was gonna do anything. So it was like I don't know. I was just kind of like, okay, what is this
But
exercise all about?
what was that actually the point of this? Was the point whether or not he was going to jump? I don't think any of us thought he was going to jump, but was that actually the point of the scene, or was the point of the scene to bring home, really drive almost with like a sledgehammer, that this weight is so crushing on Victor that the first thought that he had after this was to recreate a scene that he had seen before with somebody else jumping off of the top of the roof?
Yeah, I guess
Was that
so. Yeah, I mean, at first though, but in the end, it worked for me though. The scene definitely did work for me because I don't know, I don't see him interacting a whole lot with um with Victor. Uh,
no?
so it was good to see the interaction, and you know, I don't know. Tell me if you feel this way. It seems like the town has this resource, Victor, that I don't think they've really like exercised that resource like you would think they would have, being that he's seen more than anybody. He seems to know more than anybody. And I don't know if, like, why do you think it is that they don't press him a little bit more about what he knows?
Well, I think it's threefold. One, people treat him like he's a child,
True.
and he behaves like a child.
Yeah.
And if you've ever experienced talking with a child, it's really frustrating sometimes because, like, if you try to ask a child what happened, their recollection of it is scattered, fragmented, and limited by the amount of vocabulary that they have. And I'm not saying that Victor is simple or dumb, he's not, but he still has the intellectual fortress around him of a child. And that prohibits him from being able to speak coherently about things. So that's one thing. Two, in all honesty, I don't think that the town sees Victor the way that we see Victor as the audience,
Mm.
because they can't see, obviously, they're not putting all of the ley lines together, they're not seeing all the connection points. And for them, in fact, up until Jade recognized Victor in the photograph, nobody knew how long he'd been there. Do you remember that? Do you remember when they
Yeah, I
saw
do
the
remember
photograph?
that. Yeah.
So, there's that part too. And then it does seem like, you know, uh, crisis of the day or crisis of the, 48 hours or whatever happens before they can ever get to anything that would deeply explain stuff. Like, I'm actually fairly shocked that Jade has been able to put together as much as he has. Because the amount of time that has gone by versus the amount of information that he actually has is very disproportionate. So it's sort of amazing.
Well,
Um,
I would think that Jade would converse with him a lot more. They kind of did when they went on the little excursion, but not really.
right. But the only reason that
Especially when he
everything,
started peeing on himself when he saw the yellow clothes. Like I would have felt like more people would have you
well,
know,
well, that
talked
that
to him.
gets me to the third part. The third part is I think most of the town people realize that Victor is fragile, and there is a kind of a protection mechanism that they've all built up to protect the people who are the most vulnerable. We see that actually in the very first episode of From, where Boyd is beyond angry at the dad for not protecting his child. It's not so, I mean, it is that, somebody died, but it more of Boyd's anger is directed at the we protect each other here, and his anger is really all centered around that. And I think that the town, because of Boyd mostly, the town has really formulated this presence around the fragile members. I think that that's what's happening with Fatima. That's why everybody gives Fatima so much leeway, because she's fragile. And there is just something about the way that they have formed this community that really protects each other that way.
I thought it was because she was cute.
Well, maybe.
Or she is cute, not was
She
cute.
is cute. She is cute. Well, let's talk about Fatima. Let's talk about, we see the finished golem, which is it's impressive. It's huge. Well, let's talk about this in tandem. There's the golem, which, thank you for the facial features. That actually will live in my horror nightmare dreams forever now. But what we also see, I think, in this is the scale of the golem. I mean, it's big. And what was your take on sort of both the finished product and this? Why did Gollum versus Smiley? I love that. Why do you think that dialogue, because I have my own ideas about why this dialogue was so important, why was it so important for us to hear that Fatima said that part of the way that you protect a child is you let them think magically. You let them believe in Jinn. You let them believe in Santa Claus. You let them believe in fairies. You let them believe in whatever, because it protects them from the real world, so to speak, in all of its horror and intricacies. And sometimes that protection is so powerful that you can wield it. And that, I mean, that's what I think is happening here. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I mean, the funny thing is, it's funny that, we have it in the chat as well as what you just said, is that we saw kind of someone making something and then it coming to life, last week. Now we have this golem, right?
Right.
So I think that's setting up something in the in the future, which they need to just go ahead and tear that thing down. but no, I like that though. The way you protect children is what was it? Say that line again.
We let kids believe. We let kids have magical worlds to believe in. We let them believe in fairies and Jinn and and Santa and the Tooth Fairy and all of these magical worlds that exist to protect our children from the harsh realities that are uncomfortable and they're not ready to understand. But more so, they are a place to retreat when times are bad. When times are bad, you can retreat into the Fey world. When times are bad, you can retreat into the idea that there are Jinn out there that are going to grant your wishes. It's not like you expect all of these things to necessarily happen. But if you've ever talked to a kid who believes in Santa, and I hope there's no kids that believe in Santa right now, but honestly, it is absolutely the pinnacle of childhood magic thinking, right? That there's some kind of toy center at the North Pole, that, there's it's a whole experience. It's a whole thing. And it is.
Wait a minute. Jen will grant me wishes?
Oh, you don't know the story of Jen granting you wishes? Hello, go get a genie in a bottle.
Jen Karina?
Oh, no. Jen, unfortunately, cannot. Well, I can grant you one wish.
Oh, okay.
All right. But just one. That's it. So make it good.
You're like Jen, not Jen.
The Jen. Yeah. So
I love this image, by the way. That's on the screen.
Me too. She the golem that she built, which, by the way, for anybody who is just listening and can't see, it looks nothing like the Lord of the Rings golem. So just throwing that out there. That's a different story. It's primal looking. It looks ancient. It looks like something that you would dig up at an ancient Sumerian artifact site. It just has that aspect to it, including the arm, which is basically like stuck to its side. It's great.
Do you think she had these abilities before, or whatever she's going through? I mean, to create that, or what she's going through is kind of commanding her to make it.
I mean, I'm a little bit on the fence about it because what I think is happening here is the more you are, and there's two sides to it, but the more you are exposed to the town, the more you either experience it in the hope and believe side or and it creates abilities for you, like Tabitha being able to stab the dolls with the totems, or it goes the other way and it creates sincere doubt and massive amounts of fear and just generates that. I think most people, I don't know, I guess if I'm being honest, I think most people probably fall on the other side where hope feels distant and the town has just worn them down. So the bright spots like Fatima and Boyd and even to some degree Julie and Tabitha and definitely Ethan, they are almost anomalies because I think the rest of the town is definitely feeling very worn down. And so I don't think the rest of the town could have conceived or created this. So yeah, I think it has had something to do.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
I think a lot of us may be assuming that there's one faction that's against the town, but could it be that there's multiple factions and maybe
Yes.
they're opposed to each other?
Yes.
Outside of the town, like, you know what I mean?
Yes, I don't think that this is a yin and yang thing. This isn't there's a white side and there's a black side. I don't think that that's what's happening. The light and dark side of this whole experience is absolutely, see, he brought up a really good point. The hope of Colony House is what creates that sense of protection. I think that the only reason that we have the talisman that work is because there is a belief that the talisman work. It is the energy that they pour into that belief that makes them work. It's not necessarily the talisman. It is absolutely it's a mental thing. The to go backwards a little bit though, which I think is, oh god, I hate this scene.
Yeah.
To go backwards just a little bit. Well, actually, let's talk about that for a second. When they're at the settlement and they have to leave, what is his name was Robert, right?
Robert, yeah.
When they leave Robert, what I feel like this is implying basically is that there is a kind of balance where the town wants to reset itself, right? So clearly Robert was on his way to becoming a giant doll, which is terrifying. Because there needs to be 3. Because somehow that's the order. There needs to be 3.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that Smiley couldn't just disappear and X off the face of the town, there has to be this balance. So, okay. But setting that sort of aside, faction-wise, if you will, I don't think that this boils down to a particular piece of lore that is fighting against another particular piece of lore. I think it is the lore that is creating its own truth, its own, if this happens, this happens. If this happens, this happens. And maybe there is a formula, like Jade is thinking, that there is a way out. But whatever that formula is, it also involves deeply the feelings and the belief of the town or the disbelief of the town, whatever it is. So, I mean, it's hard as humans to assign thoughts and feelings as mathematical propositions but that's sort of the way I see it. Like, there are mathematical situations going on here. I think we get sort of some of that confirmation when we see that the town is moving, clearly, because the trees are moving. There is this idea of things not being aligned in time and space, that we get that with the faraway trees. But there is also this sort of idea that it's more than just math. It's math plus human emotion, human nightmare, human hope and dream. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Perfect.
What do you think about that? What's your opinion?
Can I just say something? And then we'll dovetail back to it. Is, when I'm watching the show, and we have the scene like last week with the dolls, and we also have the totems, which we got to talk about as well, and then we have the golem, and now we have the wall, and we have the story walking, and all of that kind of stuff. But the thing that's crazy is it's disconnected from the group. Like, there's only a few people that know about one aspect, those aspects. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
So, being that the information is not freely passed around the town, there's people that have no idea about those dolls because they're always trying to protect people from with having the information.
That's what Donna said. That's
Right.
exactly what Donna said.
Like,
Yep.
even the body that we're looking at, it's hidden, right?
Right.
They don't want people to know. I mean, at some point, people are going to ask, right, what happened to Robert, right?
Or it's going to come alive and people are going to know.
Right. So, do you think the fact that they don't share information, that only so many people are on a need to know? Because even there's things that Boyd doesn't know about.
That's right.
I don't think he's heard about the story walking, right? No,
I don't think he does know that.
There's several things that Boyd doesn't even know about. So, my question to you, I'm just so curious to get your take on it. They say it's because they don't want to, I guess, a panic, right? Or it's the need to know. They want people to lose hope and whatnot. But do you think that causes more problems? The fact that information is so fragmented that they don't, that there's things that people just don't know about. Do you think that, or do you agree with them that some things need to be on need to know, and most people shouldn't know about these things?
There's a great line from Men in Black where Agent Smith is saying, is it Agent Smith? I can't remember what his name is now. Shoot, it may not be Agent Smith. It's Agent K. Where Agent K says, a person is smart, but people are dumb, panicky, and prone to believing everything under the sun, basically. And I think that actually applies here. And anybody who has, any kind of training, anybody who has seen the way that mob mentality rules, understands that you can talk a person down from a ledge, but if you get 50 people up on the ledge and everybody starts jumping, all of a sudden it feels less in your control. And I think that that's the dynamic at work.
Mm-hmm.
An individual is easy enough to communicate with, especially if you have a rapport with them, but you don't want to create a panic where people are all of a sudden. See, this all kind of comes back to.
So you agree with the need to know?
I mean, if it was me, yeah, I absolutely would. Because I don't think that people are necessarily. I think the world that people would create from the knowledge that they have already accumulated would push them over the edge in a way that is, and I feel like this is exactly what happened with Elgin. Elgin was given a glimpse of the special world, and it drove him absolutely mad. Mad enough to capture Fatima. This is not normal thinking. This is not normal thinking, right? And I agree here with Derry. I'm sorry, Daryl, not Derry. With Daryl, he said someone was mad at Tabitha for not going to the cops on a rewatch of season 3, and I believe that, see, that's fundamentally the way that viewers sometimes look at this show. They look at it through the lens of, but if this makes sense to me, why wouldn't it make sense to them? And the answer is a lot more convoluted than I think you can answer that way. Of course, why would Tabitha go to the cops? What cop is going to believe that she was stuck in a town that had no escape?
Right.
That's just absolutely ludicrous. But would it make more sense to try to track down the address in the mailbox? I mean, in the lunchbox? Yes, because it's concrete, because it's something your brain can wrap around.
And I mean, I know this isn't the Squid Game podcast, but remember Squid Game where where the main character tries to tell the cops?
Oh yeah.
And then they like looked at him like he was on crack, you know?
Exactly. And the idea here, it also, and I mean, this is just another layer, but if the idea here is that all of these people are actually reincarnations of people that have existed before, their hard coding is not to share information. Their hard coding is the protection mechanism of whatever it is that they have experienced. And that protection mechanism is strong. So breaking through it is kind of amazing on every front. I mean, every time they peel back a layer that hasn't been peeled back before, we get just a glimpse of how hard it is for them to get to that point, how hard it was for Jade and Tabitha to start working together, how hard it was for Randall to accept Julie's explanation for things. It's a big jump for them. And I remember in one of our previous podcasts, we talked about, if we're living in a world where everything is so fantastical, why aren't more people believing in the fantastical? And I think this has to do with that protection mechanism, which is sort of built into people, where you never want to jump to the most fantastical thing. You always want to think that there is some kind of science or reason or common sense at the bottom of the layer. And here we just don't have that, right? And partly we don't have that because we don't know what the rules are that govern this town. We just don't know. So let's talk real quick about the scene with Sophia and Victor's dad in the bar.
The worst bartender of all time.
This is kind of a crazy scene because, one, it really shows that Sophia will not let things go, but two, I think Sophia is setting up three things. Well, two things for sure, but one thing, she walks by and she sees Victor's dad looking at the man in yellow's suit, right? And she says something like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh, you have family here. Like, really carefully bringing up the whole topic. And then she gets him to the bar. They get a little bit tipsy. And all of a sudden, the sort of true intent comes out from Sophia, which is she's really fishing for information, which leads me to my second point, which is clearly the man in yellow does not know everything. He didn't even, I don't know for sure, but it doesn't seem like Sophia knew everything that was going on. Sophia didn't know a lot. And those revelations were brought forward Maybe Sophia did know, and maybe she was just toying with him. I don't know, but it didn't. What did it seem like to you?
It seemed like it was fishing. That she was really fishing to find out um what more information.
What he
But
might know?
Daryl says Sophia knows what's going on. She's acting. She's fooling. Yeah, she's definitely acting. Or he. It's so weird because I want to say he, she,
Mm,
but we'll just say she. Was in the form of Sophia. Um, it's obviously fishing because, but then again, Sophia likes to, or the men in yellow, whatever, likes to clearly gets off on the pain that she causes, right?
right, that's true.
So like she's having fun, you
Yeah.
know. So by asking him, Victor's dad, about the issues
Hmm.
that he's going through, knowing that he's the one that caused it, and then I bet there was something in her mind when he said when she says, "Well, the guy's rotten in hell
Hmm. That's
who
what I
who
think.
did that." And he's probably cracking up because he's like, "You're sitting right across from the person that ate your wife, basically." You know what I mean?
I think so no, it's not that I think that okay, I'm going to answer Daryl's question. It's not that I think that the man in yellow doesn't know Victor and Victor and Henry are. In fact, we know the creatures know who Victor is
Oh
because
yeah, for
they
sure.
address him under the tunnels and say, we're going to make you stay here, Victor.
Yeah,
Which is sort of like I think his worst nightmare. I'm not saying that the man in yellow doesn't know who they are. I think the man in yellow though is fishing for Henry's motivations.
right.
His like I don't think the man in yellow can see into the human psyche enough to get intent to get, and I think that that's also why the man in yellow was testing Sarah. I don't think that the man in yellow knew which way Sarah would go until Sarah went that way. And then look at what happened. She jumped into the pool and broke her wrist and was like, "Oh, see, Sarah, see what happens." I think there's a hidden agenda under the man in yellow, but it's obfuscated a little bit by the ability of the man in yellow to interpret what people are doing. Right? Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
he just doesn't know. He doesn't know until Henry said, "I hope he rots in hell." Sophia was sort of not, she was actually, I think, a little bit more less inclined to do something terrible. But then the reason that she put the blood into the cup is because he said that, because Henry directly threatened her in some weird whatever way. Not threat like, I'm going to do that, but like threat like, how dare you say that about me? This is me you're talking about.
right.
And I think that but I don't think that Sophia knew what Henry was going to say or that Henry was going to react that way. That's the idea that I was thinking of the fishing expedition. It is the fishing expedition of how will the people, and that's another perfect example. Daryl just brought up another perfect example, which is that telephone call from Thomas. How will Jim and Tabitha and everybody react to it? He didn't know how they would react to it. He just knew that there was a Thomas and this is an exploit. You know what I mean? Like the exploit is there. Let's try to use it, but he doesn't know how they're going to respond. And I think that also is why 100% every time they go through a crisis of faith, that crisis of faith leads to some new revelation. Something new happens. And I mean, knowledge is dangerous. We know that it comes at a cost, but it is always that sort of leap of faith that I don't think the man in yellow or the town or whatever has a good handle on. They don't, again, trying to sow discord is a lot harder than you think it is when people can band together and be hopeful together, because people, just the same way that people can be dumb and panicky, can also band together and feel like something is possible even when all the odds are against it. Right? Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. Do you see what's on the screen?
I did.
Oh wow.
No, don't lose hope. That's exactly how the people in From are all going to die. So don't do that. Believe, believe, believe. Everybody believe. Okay, so let's sort of recap a little bit also about the Randall and Elgin and everybody's chopping vegetables in the kitchen piece, because I think there's a little missing part that we may have just glossed over.
You know what's so funny is
What's that?
I came so close to getting that image, and I didn't. But go ahead. We'll leave the blood in the.
The blood in the water. That's such a powerful image. What do you think is in his
By
blood?
the way,
What do you think is in his blood?
apparently the blood makes the alcohol have a nice kick to it.
Yeah, it's got a kick to it.
Yeah.
What you would think that if you put your blood in alcohol, that it would kill anything that is in there, but apparently no, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that. Let's skip over to Randall, Elgin, and I totally forgot her name, the bus driver.
The cat.
Yeah, the whole idea here of, I think, that scene was, one, sort of to obviously bring the misfits together, because and they have both been tested severely and definitely had their faith tested. It is interesting to me that Elgin stands beside Randall in whether it's a metaphor or whatever, this act of doing the mundane in the face of something so huge and enormous, that I really think that was an amazing moment, not just for them, but also for what we were talking about before, which is there is something about the ritual of doing something. Chop wood, carry water. It's an old Buddhist thing, where doing something that keeps your mind busy can sometimes calm the storm of other things, of the essence of chaos around you. And I feel like that's what that scene was about. Discuss. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I think that's what that scene was about as well, because and just as a side note about that is, those are two characters that I felt like in the beginning they really were doing cool things with, and then ultimately I feel like they've kind of, I don't want to say they've abandoned them, because they are a part of the story, but I don't know. I feel like there could be more with those characters, that they're untapped in a way that I felt like, especially Randall. I thought Randall is a good wild card character. I was glad that he didn't die, when he was attacked,
Yeah. I don't think we're done with Randall yet.
Yeah. But no, I like that scene. And I like that this lady too. I don't know. Did they ever say her name?
Yeah, they do. And I am struggling to remember her name. She was the bus driver. I can't remember her character name in the show. I wish I could remember her, but I don't.
It says, how do you pronounce that? Bhakta?
Bhakta. Yeah, thank you. That's right. It's Bhakta. Yes.
He feels like Randall's gonna die this season. Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know. I think the reason that the creatures didn't kill Randall is for some.
That's pretty good that he knew the bus driver's name.
It is.
Yeah.
Given enough time, hopefully I would have remembered it, but in the moment. Okay, so let's go back to, what do you think is in the man in yellow's blood? What is in his blood? Is it the worms? What do we think is in there? And then I want to talk about one more thing.
Oh, okay. What is in the blood?
What do you
Um,
think is going to happen to Henry after consuming the man in yellow's blood?
I think I think that he's gonna lose his mind further. I
Oh,
think he's gonna start having hallucinations and acting very erratically. And of course, he's not gonna know what's going on with him. And I think that's what it is.
huh. Do you think he's going to start being like Miranda weird, or yeah, like Abby weird, or what do you think is going to happen?
I think that more Miranda weird.
Hmm.
I think so.
I
Eh,
mean, not that Miranda was weird, because don't get
uh,
me wrong. I mean, Miranda is the reason that Victor and his sister were actually even partially saved at all, right? And
mhm.
we don't really know what happened to Victor's sister. He said he could only find little pieces of her. I don't know, but it was Miranda's love that definitely saved Victor, and like
Right.
that's not small, that's huge. So I don't want anybody to think that Miranda is was somehow crazy. I just mean Miranda hallucinated about the town on an acid trip and started painting it and created all of this, a recreation of the bottle tree in her yard. And that I was thinking like that, like, is that what you're talking about? He's going to be like that?
Hmm. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I
Huh.
don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be short lived. I don't think it's gonna be something where it goes on and on. I don't know. I've been thinking about it. Like, will Victor's dad survive this show? I don't think so. But I don't
Yeah, I
know if
don't
it's gonna
think
be
so
this
either.
year, this season. But I don't think he's gonna survive the show. And I wonder if Victor will as well. Ultimately, he's gonna definitely make it to the near the end of the show, but I don't know if he's gonna survive.
Ultimately, we are quite a few episodes into season 4. And the big question that I have on my mind is, and oh, before I even forget, because I'll tell you what my big question is in a second, but before I forget, we had confirmation from Mr. Griffin himself saying that one, it's not a dream. Two, it's not a government uh, experiment, and three, it's not purgatory, because he was asked all of those questions and he flatly denied that it is any of those things. So, in a weird way, he busted a heck of a lot of from theories that a lot of people have had, that it's a government experiment, that they're like, all on some drug or whatever, that it's just a dream, that they're, all going to wake up or something somewhere, or that it is something related to purgatory. He absolutely flat out said, no, none of those things are the way that it is. He also
What if he's
said
lying?
that,
What if he's lying?
what's that?
What if he's lying?
He, he's got no reason to lie. Um, but the other thing that he said was that he and whoever else was helping him write this have known from the very beginning exactly what was going to happen at the end. So they are not making things up as they go. It's been scripted, at least from the ideological standpoint, all the way through. Now, individual scenes obviously have been,
Right.
created as they've needed them, but the intent of the very end of this show was already at its inception point from the very beginning. So I think that it helps me to feel like it will have a satisfactory ending, probably not the satisfactory ending. So I
Okay.
just throw that out there.
Was this
Um,
interview from last year?
no, I think it was recent actually, or at least I
'Cause
came
I see
across it
something,
recently.
but it says it's from a year ago, where it
Oh, maybe
says
it
from
was.
creator, give answers, debunk theories,
It came
and
across my feed recently, so maybe it was from a year ago. That's
John
possible.
Griffin and Jeff Pinker
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, yeah. So actually, that probably was it.
about
Um,
14 minutes. Oh no, wait, no, this is an hour.
yeah,
But
it's a pretty lengthy interview.
I'm gonna
It's
have to
good. It was good. And if you're on TikTok, I don't know if it's on YouTube, but if you're on TikTok, you can see a ton of TikToks where Jade is answering questions and the character that plays Julie is answering questions. And Boyd is all over my TikTok feed with, you know, like people will ask him, what do you think about this? What quality do you as the actor share most with Boyd? And then they'll, you know, talk about Boyd's convictions and what he thinks. And it's been illuminating. This past year has been way more forthcoming with information and actor interviews and that kind of stuff than it has been in a really long time. So I'm very happy with that. Also, every week now we seem to get a little bit more information, and that and I love that. I absolutely love that because although I try to stay away from it again because I don't want anything to spoil what I think in the moment. I love that people are amped and hyped for whatever is going to happen next. It feels like, you know, this is a really good fandom. The people who are involved in this, I mean, there are people who are obviously just sort of in it for passive entertainment, but there are so many people that are thinking so deeply into this that it is crazy good to experience. I love that. I really love it. Um, I want to end with one, you know, what are your big questions going into the rest of the season? But I also want to say what I think, you know, one of my big questions about where this season is going to take us. I am still 100% convinced that we are ending this season with a cataclysm, with some kind of something that is going to be so big, whatever it is, um, that it can't be ignored. I don't know what that cataclysm might be. I don't think it's wiping out the town. I just think it's a massive amount of something big happening. I mean, if I had to guess, again, I think I would guess the flood is where we're going. But my big questions, character wise, are one, is a lot of what is being manifested because of what we just talked about, belief and fear and nightmare fuel. Is some of this coming from Victor? Because Victor seems to be able to not just be the town record keeper, but also it feels like there's more than just archiving going on. Like Victor is really good at sort of showing us the way, right? It's more clinical than, like, you know, Jade's way, but it's super interesting. And then my next big question is, somehow we have to figure out what is happening with all of the different uh with all the different totems and the talismans and what makes them work. I mean, if you asked me today, I would say it's belief that makes them work. It's the talismans only work because they believe in them. The totems work as spears because because Tabitha believes in it. Um, the things that they are able to do to protect themselves all boil down to what do they have the strongest belief in, and what characters can manifest that, and what character do I think manifests the strongest belief of all the characters? It's Ethan. So whatever is going to happen feels like Ethan is going to be the most critical, the most crucial, the biggest part of solving whatever they're going to solve. Now, let me turn that question over to you. What do you think? What are your big questions for both the story and the characters?
Okay, big question obviously is what is the place that they're at? I mean, that's pretty much everybody's question. Uh,
Right.
also, is how much of it they see is actually real? You know,
Hmm.
um, is it, like
Do
uh,
you think that stuff that they're seeing is not real?
it could be not real. I
Hmm.
mean, he said that they're not like in the Matrix or anything. Um,
I mean, it's not a hallucination.
right. So are they being killed by their own fears when they die? Is it,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like, what is actually killing them? And also, I'm really curious about Boyd. Like, where is he going to be at the end of the season? You know, where is his standing going to be with the town? I mean, I like to believe, I think he's going to be on the outs at the end of the season, and the last season is he's, you know what I'm saying?
You think like the town is going to be like the grab your torches and pitchforks, boys?
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
I think
Okay.
that's where we're going with Boyd. Nah, I could be wrong. I'm not, uh, you
Yeah,
know, when it doesn't happen, you can look at me like I'm a weirdo. But
we've learned that prognostication with From is sort of a futile effort. It's fun in the moment, but it definitely probably has no bearing on what's really happening.
and then also, you know, I'm assuming next week we're gonna find out what happens when they try to go, you know, the door. I don't know. Like I'm not sure if I buy the bone thing theory completely.
No?
No, I don't know. I don't know. What about you? Do you think if if they do that, everything's
Look,
gonna be hunky
if
dory?
that's the case, if the case is really that the bones are being protected by the creatures during the day, it is maybe more critical than ever that what Boyd says with we need a plan is going to
Mhm.
be real, because
I love
if
that as
that's
the last thing too. We need a
I
plan.
mean, yeah, that felt very A Team to me.
I know that's
Um
what I thought too.
um but and and if what Jade is interpreting is also true, Jade is going to have to convince a lot more people that this is what is going on, because at the moment it's just Jade and Boyd that sort of understand what Jade's idea is, that this is what, like, they haven't even told Tabitha yet. And
Right.
how's Tabitha going to react to this? I don't know. And that, to me, that's sort of like the missing piece to this whole thing. It certainly could be possible. It does feel like every time they get a plan in motion, a new crisis appears, and maybe that is manufactured by the town to keep them off the trail. Right? Something crazy happens, and all of a sudden everything that they were trying to accomplish suddenly has to get put on hold because, Colony House dissolves into the dirt or something. Who knows? But that's what it feels like is sort of going on. So I don't know. I think, see, I do sort of think that Daryl is right. We don't understand quite what the bones of the children might have to do. Well, because again, because we haven't been given the rule set for this town, we don't know what is governing the actual laws, if you will, of what can and cannot happen. So until we're given more information about that, it's impossible for us to tell what may or may not be a part of the lore, based on that. What I think we do know, though, is that the sacrifice and the missing child, the child who didn't get sacrificed, really might play into the wider story. Maybe they can't live forever unless they figure this out, unless they story tell this in such a perfect way that everything lines up and all the pieces fall together. And maybe that's the opposite side too. The only way to escape is to tell the story one perfect way, and then that's the escape route. I think we got sort of a hint of that when Julie and Randall, and then hearing also from Ethan this idea that there's only one way to tell a story,
Right.
and you can't change it. But maybe it's the telling of the story in one way or another that influences what will happen. So I don't know. I mean, your guess is just as good as mine.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, I'm so happy that we had some discussion. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope we all sort of came up with some interesting ideas along the way, and I'm really excited for what's going to happen next week. Kinte, how can we find you on social media?
You can find me at Kinte Ferguson on Instagram, and you can also catch us on our podcast. We have a show every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, called Pilot Season Cartoon Edition, where we take a look at the pilot episodes of classic cartoons. Last week we did DuckTales. We're actually making up a show tomorrow that we didn't get a chance to do because we normally do two. We're going to be doing Star Wars, Clone Wars, and then on
The old version.
the old version, right? And then on Wednesday we'll be at our regular times, and that's tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. But on our regular day, we'll be reviewing both South Park and the pilots of Family Guy. So check us out, and hopefully you guys will enjoy. And coming up, not this Monday, but the following Monday, episode a new episode of Men and Women Talk to Mars Venus show, and that's our relationship show where we talk. This one will be talking about why do people cheat, so that should be fun. And what about you?
I just want to give a quick shout out to, if you like the TV show From, there's two shows that I have to sort of give you the inside scoop on. One is a little bit more well known. It's called The Burrows. It's on Netflix. It definitely has kind of a, I don't want to say it's got a Stranger Things feel, because I don't think it actually does, but it's done by the Duffer Brothers. And it is an unfolding mystery. It's interesting that they give you so much information up front and then sort of are making you claw back from that point. Like, you already know what's going on, but why is it going on? It's a really good show. It's very well written. And especially if you like that kind of real character portrait, it's really good. It's excellent. But the second one, which is a little bit less well known and is still sort of gaining steam, is called Widow's Bay. And this last episode of Widow's Bay absolutely changed the entire dynamic of this show in the best way possible. It sort of, jumped over this line of, is it or isn't it, to, oh no, it definitely is. And it's an ongoing series. It is absolutely phenomenal. Again, I think the characters are just so good. So tune in for those. Those are really excellent additions to watching From. If you like From, you'll probably like those as well. That being said, hopefully Movies Make the Meal will be up and fixed in the next couple of days. And you can find me over at moviesmakethemeal.com.
In the chat, they're talking about that they were watching the new Terror season. I haven't seen the new Terror season. We did seasons 1 and 2.
Yep, I have it on Shudder, and it is actually really good. It is very good. Wow. It's available on Shudder. I think there's some other place that it's streaming too.
Oh, no more AMC.
It's great though.
Oh, okay. Gotta check it out. First season was amazing.
It's very different. The guy is basically in I don't want to call it an insane asylum, but it is kind of. It's super good. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Is it better than
very mind-bending
Horror Story season 2 Asylum?
Yes. Well, it is very different, and so yes, by proxy, I would say absolutely yes. Is it better than the Terror season 1? No. But let's not forget that Mr. Simmons, who wrote The Terror, actually did the most bang up, amazing job on that novel ever, and there is no way that you can compete with The Terror. Like that's just the season 1 of The Terror is just so good.
Well, based on a wonderful novel.
Yeah. And we actually did that. We did that whole podcast. That was so good. But season 3 of The Terror, I would say, is probably better than season 2 because it's way more mind bendy and it is a lot less slow burn as it is like twisty and turny. And there's some crazy stuff that is happening. So I definitely suggest that show too. And again, I know that it's on Shudder.
All right. So with that said, we'll catch you guys next week for our new episode.
awesome.
Thank you for listening to Talking From. Next time, we'll be back with episode 7, Best Laid Plans. In this next chapter, Tabitha and Jade's troubling history is brought to light. Things begin to unravel for another resident in town, and Boyd wants to test a dangerous theory. The episode is listed as Season 4, Episode 7, showing Sunday, May 31, 2026. The mystery keeps getting deeper, the pressure keeps building, and every answer seems to come with a bigger risk. We'll be back to break it all down on the next episode of Talking From Season 4. Presented by Indie Radio.